We are back with another episode.
Oh, I'm so hungover.
It's that Wrestlemania week hangover, man. It's so long, so many activities.
I don't even know if I can look at another turnbuckle ever again.
Hey, man. All I know is that I have seen enough ring posts to last me a lifetime. So, we are the Kayfabe Crusaders. We have our post-WrestleMania episode. We've been a little out of commission, just kind of recovering from WrestleMania week.
Recharging the batteries, letting some content, show itself. Let the company produce some interesting stories.
I mean, there really is a reason why, baseball, football, hockey, basketball, everybody has an off season, except for combat sports.
That's true.
But if you're watching UFC or boxing, a particular fighter only fights once every 4 months, maybe.
Right.
This is a machine that never stops.
That's right.
So we had to take our own quick week-long break, but we're back now, and we're here to tell you.
We talk a little bit about the Sheik documentary. We talk a little bit about Flair and Rhodes rivalries on the WWE Network from $9.99.
Also on the network is the Booker T24.
Booker T24. We talked about that.
Talk a little bit about NXT. Give a little bit of a glimpse into Extreme Rules, what they're planning for that.
Talk about some recent news in the pro wrestling landscape, the Bill DeMott.
Yeah, maybe some not so recent news, some month-old news.
Yeah,
but hey,
right,
WrestleMania was going on. We had other stuff to talk about, so we'll cover that stuff too.
Retiring of a certain diva.
You all know who it is. If you're listening to this podcast, you're a smart mark and you know exactly what we're talking about.
But why don't you give us a listen? This is your boy J-Dub.
And the Bass God. Stay tuned for this episode of the Kayfabe Crusaders. Now we're recording. Oh, hello there. Didn't see you come in.
I didn't see you there. Welcome to a very special episode of Kayfabe Crusaders.
This is the post-WrestleMania Hangover episode.
Oh, I feel sick.
Don't even call into work now.
Oh.
So, WrestleMania is now, it's over.
Done.
We're in the new year. The new official year. This is our new year. It's not January.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
We're in the new official wrestling year. Year of the Goat? No, that was a couple years ago.
No, that was last year, man. This is year of the sellout.
Year of the sellout. Year of the buyout.
Buy-in. The buy-in. The cash-in, buy-in. So we are the Kayfabe Crusaders, if I can get our name right. Is Bass God here.
Bass God and your boy J-Dub in the building.
So we're taking a little bit of break and calling a lot of the action.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been a lot of stuff to watch as far as content on outside entertainment.
Right.
With
some
wrestling.
on the network, some not on the network. Let's see. Let's start out with
we recently saw
the Sheik,
the Iron Sheik movie.
Right.
Sheik. So
I'll let you start on that.
So my background with watching the Sheik movie, first off, when I was hanging out with Hulk Hogan.
Oh.
At WrestleMania weekend, it was that would have been the Thursday before Mania.
Mm-hmm.
I went out and met Hulk Hogan, had him sign the belt and all that good stuff. I wore my Iron Sheik t-shirt and had Sheik image on it, that new one that Tilly's released. Shout out to Tilly's. Hopefully they'll send us free stuff.
Oh, hey. Give me some board shorts, dude.
Give me one of those Bella shirts. I don't care.
Oh, yeah.
So I got the Sheik shirt, went out there. When Hogan saw it, he brought me in close.
Oh, did you get to smell the bleach on his mustache?
Oh, I smelled the prayers and vitamins that he was exuding.
Through his pores?
He just looks at me, he looks around, makes sure there's no kids around, he goes, "Fuck the Hulk Hogan, motherfucker." In the Sheik voice. It was the best moment of my life. I totally marked out just for that moment. So you texted me.
I did. I ordered the Sheik documentary. What is the actual name of it? The Sheik movie?
The Sheik.
Oh, the Sheik. I ordered that on Amazon, actually.
Like a fool.
HD, like a fool.
Because that's the day he hit me up. I'm like, oh, cool, and I streamed it on Netflix.
Yeah, and I have Netflix. I should have done that. Oh, well. Get the Sheiky some money, Bubba.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I've been mildly obsessed with the Iron Sheik ever since watching the film.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't like the film.
Yeah, and you text me saying, watch this. I have a very strong opinion. Let me know.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of under the impression either you're going to think it was the best movie ever or a hunk of shit.
Well, there's like there's two sides to it because the content is like the greatest wrestling story ever because, I mean, he's a legit shooter. You know what I mean? He was I guess it's like not really a spoiler, but I guess he's like the bodyguard for the Shah of Iran.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler
badass.
when it happens 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah,
I think we're safe.
You're
on
right.
that.
You're right. When you're right, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he was like this legitimate wrestler, Olympian wrestler, and has this great backstory. And yeah, they do touch on it, but I feel like
It was like 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, 15 minutes of the movie. It's like, this should have been like a 2.5 hour, like, Ken Burns. Like, that's what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be some, like, Ken Burns piece of art.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, as you go through, you know, you get the general idea, but the timeline is so terrible in the film to keep going. They like, show you a clip from 2010, then 2006, then this year, that year, and you're like, okay, where are we in the storyline? I understand in a lot of documentaries they do, you know, they'll tell you a bunch about the past, and then they'll jump ahead, and then jump back, but they'll be separately chronological, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But this was
like
not,
Back to the Future.
right?
Space-time continuum.
Exactly. But this wasn't the case, and then you start to see, who made the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was his a family friend,
Exactly.
business partner.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they had the greatest of intentions, but they're not filmmakers.
Yeah.
It was their first foray into filmmaking, right?
Yeah, like when I'm watching it, the impression I got, like when they're talking about all the history in Iran and all that, I'm like, okay, cool, that's interesting. I didn't know all that.
It was so
stuff.
interesting.
And then when they got into all the wrestling stuff, I'm like, cool, this is like the content that you would expect.
Yeah.
So, like, enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they got into Iron Sheik as a pop culture icon, that's when I just felt that the movie just turned into a commercial for him.
Totally.
It felt like they were trying to sell me something about the Iron Sheik. Like,
Well, I mean, I don't think that was necessarily a bad thing, but it should have been like maybe 5 minutes at the end to show his like triumphant return.
I did not watch the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Oh, okay.
It was disgusting me that much.
Really?
I ended up turning it off.
They wanted you to like hire him for like guest appearances or what?
Now the thing I got from the movie, which I don't know if you started to feel this way, do you think that all the tweets that Iron Sheik does, do you think he actually does any of them?
It made me think.
It made me question everything.
Yeah. It made me think, he doesn't do them.
Yeah, I'm like, it's probably one of those guys.
Yeah.
That's trying to build up the image for the Sheik.
Right. I mean, it's all from a good place because he's trying to help out. He was family friend. You know, This is his dad's best friend from back in Iran, right? They were in Olympic training together. One was table tennis, one was wrestler, and they knew each other. And this guy grew up with the Sheik coming over to his house, like while the Sheik was in town wrestling or whatever, and you know he was part of the family. So I think it was from a genuine place, but it wasn't well done.
Yeah, it's just too bad. There's a lot of good stuff.
So much potential. I had so much potential for it. It really could be a Ken Burns style documentary. And then that made me think, what if Ken Burns did a wrestling history documentary?
Okay.
How cool would that be?
So Ken Burns did baseball, did jazz. I mean, those right away. Those are two things.
Those are two favorite.
That's our two things. The only thing that he needs is wrestling,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna name my first son Ken.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he
Ken Burns.
Exactly.
Oh man.
But okay, so let's talk about that for a second. If we were to do our own Ken Burns style,
right?
So the baseball one, how many parts was it? It was like
9 innings.
innings?
9 innings plus extra innings.
Okay, so let's go with the 10, a 10 episode deal.
Oh man.
So.
I don't even know that far back. That's why I need someone to make the documentary.
So let's go backwards.
Okay.
Because that'll probably be easier.
Right.
So we have, the modern era, the reality era.
Reality era, 9th inning, right? Because, I mean, and then before that, what would be the
Ruthless Aggression?
Ruthless Aggression. Or is there a different name for it? Might be Ruthless Aggression.
Yeah, that was like when Cena and Orton were coming up. Yeah, so that'd be the Ruthless Aggression era.
End of Edge.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And then before that would be Attitude, which
Attitude would probably be 2 parts.
Yeah, you'd have to do at least 2, because you talk about Stone Cold.
Yeah.
maybe the Monday Night War type thing.
Well, and Monday Night War for sure. That would be like the beginning. That'd be like the first part of the Attitude Era, and then after it could be the once WWF won kind of thing. Could be the second part of that.
So we're up to 4. So then before that, we can go the rise of
Hulk Hogan.
No, even before that, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, and Razor.
Oh, okay.
That era.
We might need more than 9.
And then Hogan would be before that.
Hogan would be one, and then
Hogan would be all his own.
Yeah, and then you could probably do like different territories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you go Hogan.
And before that, you could talk about the territories and like the 70s, like Dusty Rhodes and stuff like that.
Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair in the NWA.
Yeah.
Bruno up in New
York.
York.
AWA and all that.
Yeah. And you'd probably get those.
You get to touch on all the.
Yeah, and you probably get those in a few of the episodes.
Yeah.
I was listening to whose podcast was it?
Cornette.
No, I think it was
Suplex Machine.
I have not heard Taz's.
I've heard it's really good.
Yeah, have you?
Yeah.
I've heard the opposite.
Really?
But I haven't heard it yet, so I don't
Who was it? Oh, it was the 2 guys we talked to at Mania.
Yeah, that's right.
They were like, "Oh, Taz is really good," so maybe they're not very good.
I don't know.
Those guys didn't like Stone Cold and that.
Those humanoids, I don't know.
Whatever.
I think I was listening to the Cheap Heat podcast, and they were talking like everybody always does about the Mount Rushmore, the 4 faces of professional wrestling.
Well, people get it confused because then they'll throw the Undertaker on there. It's like, yeah, he is one of the greatest, but he's not. Has never been a face of the company.
So, can you name the 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore?
Washington, Lincoln. Is it Roosevelt? And Jackson? No, wait. Washington, Lincoln, Roosevelt. What? There's one more.
I don't know the 4.
You don't know the 4th?
I wanted to say like Jefferson.
Oh, that's what I meant.
Jefferson?
Jefferson.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's Jefferson. Okay. And if we are incorrect, feel free to fuck yourself because this isn't a history podcast.
I'm sure I was asked that question on correct trivia.
Oh, crack trivia?
Yeah. I challenged you, by the way. You haven't responded.
I have not played that game in forever, dude.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm like...
I'll probably be done.
I'm playing nothing but WWE Supercard.
Okay, I gotta get on that then.
You don't want any part of that. It's okay. Worse than trivia crap.
You don't want any part of this, do we?
It's a free app. You don't pay anything. You don't want none of this. So the 4 faces of wrestling's Mount Rushmore. Who would you put?
I don't even know if I'd put Rock up there.
I wouldn't. I would say no.
Stone Cold beats him out on that.
Yeah.
And they're in the same era.
Exactly.
So I'd say Stone Cold, Hogan.
Mm-hmm. Those are givens. Okay.
And it has to be Bruno.
Bruno?
Yeah.
Okay.
It would have to be. I mean, those are the first 4 that come to my mind like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you could probably put some. But Bruno has to be up there.
Bruno has to because he sold out Madison Square Garden. He's like he was the backbone of wrestling.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The OG like. Popular wrestling guy, right?
Mm-hmm. Now,
Flair wasn't even a face though, so he might not even be up there.
I was gonna say for mine, I wouldn't have Flair on there. And you know what sucks?
That's
what sucks?
Tough.
I would replace him with John Cena.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
And to me, it's like the blasphemy, all the backlash that you'd get. Yeah. But you think of it this way: that's the Mount Rushmore, right? Kennedy's not on Mount Rushmore.
Right.
Flair's Kennedy.
Right. Totally. That's perfect. But yeah, you're totally right because Flair was never the face of because we're talking about of all of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But then it kind of slowly gets into face of WWF, WWE, right?
Because that's who took over.
That's what it becomes.
History's written by the winners, man.
Right, that's true. So Bruno is it has to be Bruno,
He's
Hogan, Stone Cold, Cena, right?
So wrestling basically is WWF at this point.
Right. But people get into the whole thing where it's like they start throwing fan favorites in there, like Undertaker. And I guess Flair is very similar to Undertaker. Always been around.
Reliable,
long career. Old reliable. But yeah, I think you're totally right. I totally forgot about Cena. Because he might even be... I don't know. He's definitely... I'd say like most popular in that one. Because I'd say Hogan is the most popular.
Now, would you say in the history of professional wrestling, Hogan's number 1 and Austin's number 2?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I have to because... It's like even people don't watch baseball or even know anything about baseball know the name Babe Ruth. And same with Hulk Hogan.
Right,
Not
right.
so much Steve Austin.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. In a wrestling fan's
people
eyes,
are born knowing the name Hulk Hogan.
yeah,
It's weird.
it's Americana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stone Cold's not quite that Americana as Hulk Hogan.
Stone Cold was more over with wrestling fans than Hulk Hogan was, but Hulk Hogan was
Right.
more of a pop icon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. So that's Mount Rushmore. I can go for that.
Yeah. No, that's true. Whether we like it or not, that's it. You can't. I mean, I don't know why people would put Rock up there. Yeah, he was like, he would have been, if Stone Cold wasn't there, he would have been that era's face. For
Now,
sure.
if Stone Cold wasn't there, I don't think The Rock would be half of what he was. I think Stone Cold made The Rock.
Really?
I think that The Rock made Stone Cold better.
Right.
But even without The Rock, I think Stone Cold would have went everywhere because he had McMahon as his adversary.
Right.
The Rock's biggest adversary was Stone Cold.
Right.
So The Rock needed Stone Cold.
And if Stone Cold never turned heel, Rock would be just a heel.
Yeah.
Right? He would have never been face, really. Although he totally took charge of that situation, and once he was face, he was fucking over.
He now we're not diminishing what The Rock does because when The Rock
he's the most charismatic. He's the most successful wrestler, I think. Other than, I mean, even more than Hulk Hogan in terms of being in popular culture.
Yeah.
The Rock is. I mean, he's more successful than Stone Cold too.
Mm-hmm.
In that aspect of being in movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, Stone Cold. If you look at it for the time that they were in wrestling, and I'm not really counting Rock coming back and winning the belt and facing Cena. To me, that part-time thing doesn't necessarily count for his
prime.
Yeah, especially because the matches weren't that great. but just for that amount of time, Stone Cold was the man in that era.
Yeah.
It was always, he was 1A and Rock was 1B.
Yeah, it's always, what's Stone Cold doing this week?
Yeah.
Or, who's he going to shoot beer at this time? Or stun? Who's getting the stunner this week?
So, one of the things, speaking of stunners, Stone Cold was talking about John Cena using that springboard stunner. Because it's becoming more and more in his repertoire now. And Stone Cold's not a fan of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like, because the reason why he's not a fan is because he does it and it's not the end of the match. And he's like, it's not paying enough compliment to the move. That was the move that put everybody on its back, and now it's it's a 2-count move all the time.
He's diminishing it.
And John Cena was he jokingly said, I add a 6th move and I get no love for it.
Oh yeah. That was another good. I really liked that interview with Cena and Jericho.
Yeah.
It made me like Cena.
I mean,
it made me go, oh, he's just a likable guy.
He's a normal dude, man.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of grief about everything. And just listening to it, I think.
And he jokes about all the stuff that he gets picked on for.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's not oblivious to it.
He really genuinely doesn't care where he is. I think, even though he doesn't have the title, I think he's he probably wants to have the title at all times. Because that's what you do. You want to be the best, right? But he's like, whatever. I'll take this and I'll make it. You know what I mean? I think it's a great idea to add legitimacy to the other titles.
Oh yeah, they really made the right move of giving him the U.S. belt and Daniel Bryan the Intercontinental title. Now what sucks is that Daniel Bryan, I mean, every time he wins a belt, he gets hurt, and they pulled him off the European tour because. He just hasn't been 100% healthy.
Oh, wow.
So he hasn't been defending the Intercontinental title. But every week, Cena's out there, open challenge.
Wow.
And it's cool to see that, they're giving the belt its due. Because the U.S. title, I always remember, I don't find the legacy of the WWE or WWF U.S. title to really mean anything.
No.
But the WCW, I remembered, Dean Malenko, Jericho... Eddie Guerrero had it for a good amount of time. The Sting, Ric Flair had it. Rick Rude. In WCW, that belt meant something. I would almost be okay with them getting rid of the U.S. title
and giving the Intercontinental to Cena.
Well, no, not even that. But instead of having the U.S. title, have it be the TV title. like they used to have.
Oh.
ECW and WCW both had the TV titles, and that would be perfect. Where it's like that's the belt that gets defended on Raw.
Right.
Like it's legitimately a television title.
Yeah.
And it gets people watching Raw because the belt can change hands at any time on TV.
Right.
I think that a TV title would be great.
It would make more sense.
Yeah. And they're also talking about Cena might bring back the spinner belt for the U.S. belt, which
I'm okay with that. Why not?
But the title situation is getting interesting. Seth Rollins holding the belt. Now he's going to defend against Randy Orton at Extreme Rules. That was just an easy decision.
Easy.
The way they booked WrestleMania, that's the way to go.
Right. I mean, they planned that out perfectly because Randy deserves a shot because he legitimately beat Seth, and then they put on a great match.
Yeah. So I finally started rewatching WrestleMania. Because from being there and watching on TV is two totally different experiences.
Yeah, when you're there, it's just a big party, and it's like everything is like you're all wide-eyed and like wow, and you probably miss some of the best stuff.
Yeah, and case in point was in that John Cena Rusev match. Neither one of us saw that springboard stunner.
Right.
We had to go back and kind of hear about it.
Exactly.
But I started rewatching, and I got up to the Randy Orton Seth match, and watching it on TV. That match was a lot better than it felt in the arena. And it felt really good at Levi Stadium, but on TV it was even nicer.
Wow. I got to check it out then.
Really good psychology. Just awesome spots. And, still, that finisher, that's still my favorite RKO.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I got to watch that one.
I've seen that finisher time and time again, and it just doesn't get old. What's your favorite finisher? We were talking about that a little bit.
Oh, of all time?
Yeah. Like if you were to say one finishing move, like I know you want to say the Hogan leg drop is the greatest of all time.
Not even. Let me think.
Because there's been so many iconic ones. There has been the leg drop. There's been the Stone Cold Stunner, the Rock Bottom, the Pedigree, Sharpshooter, Sweet Chin Music, RKO. I think a lot of it it's maybe 40% the move, 60% the man that does the move,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if I had to, my all-time favorite finisher has to be Sweet Chin Music. Because it was one of those that people didn't kick out of.
Mm-hmm.
And he could do it so many different ways. Like you could tune up the band in the corner, right? You could start stomping your feet and doing that, and then you could even miss it that way, or you could just come out of nowhere, like at WrestleMania, and hit Sting on the face with some Sweet Chin Music, like out of nowhere, and it would always look like he clipped them, always. He never made it look like he whiffed it, what I mean? And maybe he just always kicked him in the face, But and it was the one that I always wanted to try on my brother. We got good at it, where we had this whole routine where he would I'd push him. No, he'd push me. I'd push him. He'd come for a clothesline. I'd duck under the clothesline and turn around and just right in his chin. We would do that at parties sometimes when we're bored and there's all these people around. We're let's pretend to fight. And it was pretty funny. But anyway, Sweet Chin Music has to be it.
See, and then this goes back to the whole. This has always been the disconnect with you and I. Mm-hmm. Mine, Sharpshooter. I love the Sharpshooter. I've been a Bret Hart guy my whole life, and just that move makes so many people tap. And I always love the submission move. I'm a huge fan of the moves that come out of nowhere, like Sweet Chin Music, RKO. But the submission move, you use the whole match to work on the legs.
Right.
And you have that zeroed in.
Yeah.
And you finally get that payoff.
It's the Hitman.
Yeah, and it's the Sharpshooter. I wouldn't put the Scorpion Deathlock there because for whatever reason I didn't care so much when Sting did it.
No way. It's different.
Yeah. Or when The Rock did. I always thought that was weird when The Rock started using the Sharpshooter.
The Sharpshooter? Yeah. I thought it was it was interesting.
Yeah.
The only time I really encountered that was when I would play video games and be The Rock, and you're why is he doing this Sharpshooter?
Yeah, because I've seen him put it on Stone Cold. Yeah. I remember he had the leather vest on and had Stone Cold in the Sharpshooter.
Oh yeah, maybe it was the whole homage to his Sharpshooter by Bret Hart and the blood
at 13.
Yeah,
maybe.
But yeah, I don't know. It was kind of weird, but yeah, Scorpion Deathlock, whatever. But I've never really been a huge Sting fan either. I've never been I thought he was one of the probably the coolest thing in WCW. Whenever I'd watch it, I'd be like, oh, cool, because he was the one guy I could root for.
Right.
Everyone else was a bad guy. I was like, I want to root for this guy, and he's the one who never turned into NWO, right?
He eventually did.
He did?
Yeah.
What, did everyone, literally everyone in there?
Yeah, he eventually did, and
What was the Outsiders thing? Didn't they
it was the red, the NWO red, yeah.
With the Wolfpack.
Exactly.
So is that different than the black and white?
Because they separated. NWO separated. Because it got so big that they're just like, we have to fight each other now.
And then it's just,
it's just
so
ridiculous.
Terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember him doing that with the red face paint and shit. But yeah, I was never that big into Sting. But Sharpshooter, I mean, that goes back to, those are the two guys that got me into wrestling was Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. And Joe liked, my brother, Joe, he liked Bret Hart, and he liked the Sharpshooter. And I liked Shawn Michaels and the Sweet Chin Music, right? But the other one would probably be the Figure 4.
Oh, I did the Figure 4 so many times on Cousins and everything.
Yeah, but I think my favorite part about the Figure 4 was, oh my gosh, he turned it over. It's reversed, right?
That never works in real life.
That's not it. But anyway, yeah, Sweet Chin Music. Stone Cold Stunner is up there. I think it might be one of the... It might be the best.
I mean, that's the one that always got the biggest pop.
Right, but I mean, in my personal favorite, Sweet Chin Music, for sure.
Now, going back to the Figure 4, I had already seen this, but you said that you just started watching it, or you just saw it, the rivalries, Flair and Dusty Rhodes. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, the son of a plumber, baby.
It was cool. I think I liked the Piper Hogan one because there was true animosity in that one. But...
Yeah, Rhodes and Flair is all on admiration.
Yeah, they're like best friends.
Yeah, Dusty Rhodes wanted to be... Oh, no, sorry, Ric Flair wanted to be Dusty Rhodes.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Wanted to be Rick Rhodes.
Ravishing Rick Rhodes. But yeah, and they show old pictures of Flair and he was
huge. It's crazy how big he was.
Yeah.
Because you think of like...
He's always had those saggy pecs too.
I always thought like Ric Flair was like... the wrestling version of Steve Martin, to where he was never young.
Yeah, exactly.
He was always old when he was in his 20s.
Yeah, he's always had gray hair, bleached blonde, you know. But yeah, he wanted to be like Dusty Rhodes, and I thought it was really cool all the different matches and how they just like built it up, because Dusty Rhodes, it took forever for him to get over on Ric Flair. Because they had the Four Horsemen, you know, an early incarnation of the Four Horsemen. What were they called? The cousins, the Anderson cousins or something like that.
There are so many Andersons.
Yeah.
And none of them are related.
Yeah.
Ole and Arn, they're not really related. They just looked alike.
Right.
They just had that like Milwaukee Brewer kind of look.
Yeah, exactly. But I really liked it. It was cool. It wasn't something where I'd be like, oh, you gotta watch this, right?
Yeah.
But it was...
You're right, the Piper Hogan one was super cool.
Yeah, that was like... That's because Hogan and Piper, they didn't get along. And
no one liked Hogan.
And no one probably liked Piper either. And Piper was, you know, pissing off Mr. T, which is great.
But what I like in that one was how, you know, they were talking about... Well, at least Piper was saying, who knows if it's actually true, but how all the boys in the back were like, you know, behind Piper because they didn't want this outsider coming in, playing wrestling, and kind of taking away from the business. So Piper was kind of the one sticking up for all the boys in the back.
Yeah.
But they all. I still need to see the Edge and Matt Hardy one.
That one would be good.
I've wanted to see that for a while. I just haven't.
I've been putting it off. But that whole thing you were saying about not putting over Mr. T in the Sheik documentary. Do you remember when they were talking about how don't put over Hogan? Just break his leg.
Break his leg. Just make it a shoot.
Do you think that is true?
I do think it's true because Hogan has said it.
Yeah.
Sheik said it. Like, you know, I don't see why they would have any reason like
to lie.
Yeah, to lie about it.
Because he didn't do it, right?
Right.
So why would you lie about it? Yes.
Yeah, Sheik's responsible for Hulkamania, man.
I mean, I guess so. Because I mean, no one can control him, right? Apparently, he was just this badass motherfucker. Oh, and also, I was listening to a JR podcast with the Sheik. Did you listen to that?
I did hear that one, yeah.
Did you hear where he said if back in the day, if he was young and Brock Lesnar was young, Brock Lesnar wouldn't have a chance.
Yeah.
And JR's like, he would have about 100 pounds.
Yeah, I know. JR trying to
It doesn't matter. If he come into my gym in Minnesota, he would not be up in this class. He would not do this, blah, blah, blah. So he's still...
But God bless the Brock Lesnar. Respect him.
Respect. He's the man now. It is his time.
See, that actually, I heard that podcast before I saw the movie, and it was getting me really excited for that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that I'm really excited for, and I keep trying to look information up, but it's hard to find, and that's my phone on Professional Podcast, is the Jake the Snake movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's already done, and they've already had that on different, like, film festivals.
Really?
But I can't find...
They're not doing a wide release yet?
Not yet.
I hope that one's a little bit better quality. I'm sure it will be.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that one's great. I mean, they've been going to actual film festivals.
Right.
So I think that the Jake the Snake story is one of the best stories in wrestling. Like, just for falling so hard and turning his life around, and, you know, now he's back in the WWE family because... Right. You know, they wouldn't have anything to do with you if you were still, you know, messed up on everything.
Right.
You know, with him and Scott Hall, and it all comes back to DDP Yoga.
Oh, dude, DDP, man. What a guy. But, I mean, we saw it all unfold at WrestleMania 30, you know, at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's going to be a good one to check out.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that one.
What else have we been watching on the network? What do you got?
I've been watching a lot of NXT, per usual. Sami Zayn is finally back. From his little injury that he had, went up against Rhino.
That was a good match.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I was watching it, and they were like, Sami Zayn and Rhino, the main event next. And I was like, there's still like 45 minutes left of the show, or a half hour of the show. Yeah. And then they come back and they start. I'm like, wow, they gave these guys a lot of time.
I mean, it's cool seeing Rhino.
Yeah.
It's cool seeing Rhino wrestle. I never really cared for his run in the WWE.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fine or whatever, but he was always the ECW guy for me.
Right.
And because NXT has like a similar, like, you know, feel where it's a lower scale. I don't want to say like it's not a lower quality show, but it's just, you know, on a smaller scale.
Right.
He's great in those kind of environments.
Right.
And even at his age, he can still go.
Right. He's still good, man.
Like Sami Zayn definitely carried the workload.
Yeah.
But to have like a monster to go up against is awesome.
Because all you need is that one little chance of a gore.
Yeah, because that's another one that can come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Gore or spear?
Well, I gotta be honest, because I was more the spear. I knew of the spear first from Goldberg, so I gotta say spear.
Okay. For me, it's Edge's spear. That's the one.
Oh.
I always liked. I mean,
he did have a good one.
And he, unlike Goldberg is like it's the same every time.
Yeah.
Edge, he was like going off ladders, doing it into tables, into flaming tables with Mick Foley at Mania. Like Edge's was like the pinnacle to me.
Right.
Although Rhino did gore like through the SmackDown. When he got Jericho through that display, that was pretty cool. Like I always liked it when they'd go through the sets going into Gorilla.
Oh yeah.
As opposed to just the barricades. Shane McMahon would do that all the time.
Shane McMahon, dude.
It always comes back to Shane. It always comes back to
that guy. I miss that guy. Man, he had some balls. I bet he's such a tough guy, just growing up with Vince as a dad.
On the mean streets of Greenwich, dude.
No, but not even that.
Remember that? Was it the Mean Street Posse?
Yeah, Mean Street Posse. But growing up with Vince as your dad, imagine that. Like
always having to prove something.
Oh, I mean, you're not the hardest worker in the room if Vince is your dad. You know.
And Shane was always like surrounded with like wrestlers his entire life.
I know. You know, he had to pick up on like how the business works, but. I mean, the main thing is he always had to prove himself, right? Because he's the boss's kid. Yeah,
now Stephanie took the ball, and she ran with it.
Yeah.
She's doing a great job. We're huge fans of...
Huge fans.
Of Stephanie McMahon Helmsley.
Oh, yeah, she's great. Stephanie McMahon Levesque.
Do you think she actually took his last name, or is she still Stephanie McMahon?
I think she took his last name.
You think so? You think she's traditional that way?
Yeah, I think so. Because This is so weird that we're talking about this. But yeah, I think that she would do that. Because she can always be Stephanie McMahon to the, whatever,
the general public?
To the wrestling world, you know?
So with, so NXT was coming up, we saw that. I might be going to go see NXT in August. They're having a special event on, I think it's the 12th, and they're going to have an NXT taping on the 13th for the show. Excellent. So I might go do that. I don't know yet. Still kind of undecided, but see if my miles from Southwest gets me over there. Yeah. Just because I love NXT, man.
Yeah.
Hideo at Mania was cool.
That was cool.
They're showing on the network now the tournament that was here in San Jose. They're just showing the semifinals and the finals. But they were good matches. They were good quality matches on the network.
I need to see that.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. I was surprised that Hideo won. In retrospect, it's awesome because it gets him... It validated the fact that he was...
Such a high draft pick. Right?
Yeah, and he was the international sensation that they went after. And they flew Hogan out over to Japan to sign him. And they made it a really big deal when they got him. And now it's kind of like the validation of, okay, this is why we did it, you know?
I mean, I feel like the fans they're really growing. He's really growing on them, you know? I mean, there's always Hideo chants, just like at Raw when we went to Raw, those Hideo chants, right?
Yeah.
And another thing you guys should check out is Botchamania. Because the newest edition covers WrestleMania 31 and the Raw after, and damn, it was funny.
What was some cool stuff in it?
I don't really want to ruin it because it comes up in the video, but when Steamboat tries to do his macho impression, it's terrible. Remember that at WrestleMania? Whoa yeah!
Whoa yeah!
Whoa yeah! As a late great macho man would say, whoa yeah! And it says whoa yeah. It's just great. It's so great. That and John Cena talking through the whole match.
Those are always...
Watch for the leg. You know?
He always does that. That's the thing that does kill me. He has a big fucking mouth.
Yeah.
I love watching the Botchamanias though.
They're great.
One of my favorite ones was it was in Mexico. It was a 6-man ladder match or something like that, and they ended up breaking the ladder. And they're like shit because it's in Mexico. They don't have a plethora of ladders. So the only ones they had were those short ones that weren't going to reach.
Oh, no.
So the refs would hold up the broken ladder and they kept trying to climb it. But then other wrestlers are like, all right, but this still has to look like a wrestling match. So they can't sit down for 20 minutes while they're trying to climb this crappy ladder. So they'd come back and they'd hit. And they almost show the entire match on the Botchamania thing because the whole thing is so awkward.
Oh, no.
And then when the guy finally gets to the top to get the belt's not coming off. And he can't undo the strap on it. He ends up pulling the entire structure that's holding it. It's the craziest damn thing. It's terrible. It's so good.
That's great. But yeah, those are funny. I mean, if you're a wrestling fan, you're gonna love those.
The thing about Botchamania is it's such an awesome craft of wrestling, but nobody's perfect all the time.
No, I mean
except for Kurt Hennig.
Yeah. Well, he's Mr. Perfect.
Yeah. But when you see all the little mistakes that get made here and there.
Well, because we watched all that stuff, but we didn't catch it, you know. But you look at it again. I mean, everything is recorded nowadays, so you can go over everything with a fine-tooth comb, you know. But it's easy to pick out mistakes. Imagine all the crazy shit that happened back in the 70s, you know. People storming the ring and shit like that, crazy stuff. So
on the latest SmackDown, they had an incident where a bunch of guys stormed into the ring, because they're over in Europe, and they're just all doing rock bottoms and everything on each other. It's they're frat guys or whatever. Yeah. That's always crazy to me when that happens.
Yeah.
Because so much could happen. It's such a wild card. When they were, in God, where were they? I want to say South Africa. And a dude attacked Randy Orton.
Oh yeah.
And that was like a year or two ago.
Oh yeah.
And I remember there was an Eddie Guerrero ladder match where a dude comes in and pushes the ladder, and then Eddie just starts beating his ass. So things like that, it's always crazy when that happens.
Yeah, because I mean, somebody could get hurt, and
most times it's the guy that runs into the ring.
Well, yeah, because the other guys want to protect. Whoa, yeah. Because the wrestlers want to protect each other, right? And I don't know. I feel like it would be an easier thing if you get beat up by a wrestler for running in the ring than if you hurt yourself like going in there running in the ring. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's such a crazy thing to think about. I mean, I bet even more now than ever. It's like WWE could lose so much money if something like that happened.
Yeah, I remember
something bad happened.
when CM Punk, when he was the heel champion, he was out in the crowd, and like I guess the dude had like either pushed him or punched him in the back of the head.
Mm-hmm.
So he turns around and just like clocks the dude.
Mm-hmm.
And Vince didn't take any action against Punk. Like he didn't like fine him or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, stuff like that happens. Especially you think about like Roman Reigns constantly coming out through the crowd. And now the crowd is very, a lot of animosity towards him.
Oh, I mean, we're getting some balls, man. The internet wrestling community. Something's gonna happen. Roman's gonna be like.
Keep in mind, he's a Samoan.
Yeah,
he's not gonna take your shit.
No, he's not. But yeah, that reminds me of in the Flair Rhodes rivalry when Flair was getting beat up. In the ring, in the middle of, I think it was a cage, and then he was getting double teamed, and then Rhodes comes out to help him, like has a change of heart or whatever, helps him, and then Flair, and then the Anderson cousins come out and beat the shit out of Rhodes, and everyone's like, "What are you talking about? He saved you!" And they storm the ring, and they keep him locked inside the cage.
Oh yeah, I do. I remember that part now. Yeah.
Yeah. That was something. That was pretty cool.
That's the old school, man. The old school, like when we saw Mick Foley's thing, and he was saying about Terry Funk,
right?
How a guy wanted to go slice his throat.
Yeah, a guy wanted to slice his throat.
And the officer's like, do you want to press charges? Oh no, I wouldn't.
How could I press charges, man? Give me the biggest compliment I've ever had in my career. Yeah. But yeah, that made me want to go back, man. I wish I was a wrestler back then. I think if I had to choose what time to be a wrestler in, now would be probably the smartest time to choose.
Most money, the safest, the best traveling.
But if all that wasn't a concern, right? Mm-hmm. Being a character like 24 hours a day, like, because some promoters were like, if you go out into a bar fight and you lose, you're fired.
Yeah, you have to be the tough guy all the time.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The old school way of and we were talking earlier about the whole thing with Bill DeMott.
Right.
About the controversy of him getting, of everything that's happening to him and then him stepping down. Basically, wrestlers were saying that his training styles were too harsh. Mm-hmm. He would single people out. It was basically like hazing that was happening. But that was the way the wrestling business was done back in the day. Like, you had to prove yourself. And a lot of times it was done in the ring. They would shoot and just, you'd have to take it. You'd have to prove to everyone that you were tough to do it.
Right.
And now, I always call it the pussification of the nation.
That's a George Carlin thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pussification.
The pussification of the nation, man.
Yeah.
And people are so sheltered with everything. It's like, this is entertainment. We're entertainers sort of deal. It's like...
Yeah, but that's not... Because back then the business was protected, right? Mm-hmm. So you needed to make sure this person really loved it so you could let them in on the secret. Right?
Exactly.
But now it's like everyone who wants to be a movie star also wants to be a professional wrestler. And they also want to be a professional athlete. And they also want to be a professional musician, right? But they don't want to pay the dues.
Yeah, David Arquette.
Yeah.
I actually just saw Scream again.
The original?
Yeah, the original one.
Such a good one.
I was watching it with my girlfriend, and in passing, I'm just like, I can't believe that guy was the heavyweight champion of the world. And she doesn't watch wrestling, and she goes, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And I had to explain to her. I'm like, so back in WCW, they were hurting for ratings, so they gave him the championship belt that meant that he was the greatest wrestler in all of wrestling.
It's funny, like WWF or WWE is like, yeah, we'll have Ronda Rousey in here, and WCW is like, oh fuck, let's get David Arquette.
Let's get David Arquette. Let's get Karl Malone to put Hulk Hogan in an armbar for 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Jay Leno.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, at least like there's been some poor celebrity things that have happened. The latest one that was getting a lot of controversy was right before Mania. Snoop Dogg came out
I liked that.
and tossing Curtis Axel out. What people didn't like is the fact that it's like, well, Snoop Dogg, he's not a wrestler. He's like 98 pounds.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's manhandling Curtis Axel, what does that say about the wrestlers?
Yeah. That's true.
So it's things like that, and most people don't think of it that way. Like the general public is like, oh, cool, look at Snoop Dogg, he's badass, look at that.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, these.
I just liked it because they made a joke about Snoop Dogg smoking weed. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was weird. Like in the PG era.
And it was Hogan, right?
Yeah, Hogan don't give a shit.
Was it Hogan who said it, or was it Curtis?
Yeah,
Axel?
no, it was Hogan.
He's like, "What's he been smoking?" He said, "I don't know what you've been smoking. You've been smoking with Snoop too much." Or something like that. It's like, what? But yeah, that was great. They should have probably had Hogan throw him out, maybe.
Yeah, I mean Hogan, he was taking some bumps at Mania, so I don't see why, But the whole Curtis Axel thing with Axelmania, I think that was great. And now that it's done, it's like, now what are they gonna do with this kid?
I hope they're gonna have to let it wait for a little bit, and then hopefully they'll actually get something out of it,
Probably not though. I think that was his time. I think the best thing for him would be kind of what they did with Tyson Kidd. Stick him in a tag team. Like the tag team division, it can definitely be something where you put guys together that aren't doing anything, just to see if throw it on the wall and see if it sticks.
That'd be a good idea.
So
they could make it even a gimmick out of that. We're like, all right, what's the random tag team for tonight?
So
you could just see who gets the biggest pop. You know what I mean?
So did you ever watch? What was it? It was an old WCW pay-per-view. It was like Battle something. It wasn't War Games.
It wasn't Beach like Bash or something.
No, but it was like another one. But basically what the premise was is they had the two locker rooms. They had the heel locker room and the face locker room. So they would pair up random guys, and it was a tournament. So like if your team won, you advanced, and then at the end of the night, you all the winners are like in a battle royal against each other, and the winner of that wins the trophy.
Right.
And the whole pay-per-view was based off that.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So it was total gimmick thing, but it was a cool concept because you would see like Harlem Heat like sitting together, and then they would get split up. And so it was just a cool concept of like you'd order the pay-per-view and you have no idea what you're gonna watch.
When's Harlem Heat gonna go in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know if they are.
Do you think they're going to?
I don't know if they are.
They have the most WCW titles.
Yeah, but they have the most WCW titles. That's the thing. So I don't know if
what else is.
Because Booker T's already in.
Yeah.
So like.
I think they should be in there, man.
I loved Harlem Heat. I always loved.
Are you saying they're not going to induct any more people that weren't in
not,
WWF?
Not just that, but like because Sting will end up in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
But Sting was his own icon. He was like an entity on his own. Harlem Heat was a great tag team, but they didn't take the world by storm.
They were the best tag team of that era, I thought, in WCW.
In WCW, yeah. But, I mean, I don't know if that's enough to be in the Hall of Fame. Who knows, though? Like,
if Booker T wasn't in that with himself, they'd be in it, probably.
Maybe. Because Booker T, he had his career after. Stevie Ray didn't.
Yeah.
Like, all he was that tag team.
Yeah, but that tag team is so good.
Especially with Sensational Sherry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they originally had the Colonel.
Oh, yeah.
The Colonel. And it was so close to being like a slave type of situation. It was tiptoeing that.
Terrible. But speaking of Harlem Heat, I watched the Booker T 24, Booker T or whatever.
Yeah.
That was really good. I thought it was better than the Sheik documentary. You know what I mean? In terms of quality made. And it was really cool just to see him because he seems like a really awesome guy. And I loved when they started going into like King Booker. So he's just like a goofball, right? He's like, King Booker with the pinky, and he's getting like terrible. He's got so much heat with his wife, and I thought that was really good. I'd recommend that to everyone actually.
The Booker T one.
I really loved Harlem Heat. Some of those moves that they did with the kicks and stuff, the Harlem Heat, Those were pretty cool and unique.
I always remembered seeing like all the Bash at the Beaches and stuff like that, where it was Harlem Heat against the Nasty Boys. That was always a good feud.
Nasty Boys are overrated, though.
You think so?
I don't know. Maybe I should watch more of them, but
I mean, I would.
To me, they seem like Hulk Hogan's buddies, so they were.
That's definitely true.
So they were just like had a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They didn't have as great of a skill set as like the Legion of Doom, Road Warriors, but they had a lot of charisma.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you think of like that era of going to them in the WWF, you had the Road Warriors, Nasty Boys, the Bushwhackers, the Fabulous Rougeau brothers, and then you had the Hart Foundation.
Yeah.
And the Rockers, like
and British Bulldog.
the British Bulldogs being the older ones, but the Hart Foundation and the Rockers being like the new blood of the tag team division. That was when like in that era,
the torch,
that was the hot tag team stuff. And then you look at the Attitude Era, and you have Hardys, Dudleys, Edge and Christian,
can't get much better.
The Outlaws, even the Hollies,
APA.
Oh yeah, the APA, they were great. And then now you look at this era, it's like they have a lot of potential, but they're not putting enough focus on it.
Right.
Like you have...
They're getting more focused on it, though. I mean, especially with Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, I think they should be like the cornerstone of a good tag team division, you know? I like the Usos, too, but, I mean, they got stale for a little bit in my eyes.
well, now, was it Jay? There's Jay or Jimmy? I think it's Jay. I might be wrong, but I get them confused. But he's going to be out for about 6 months now with the shoulder injury. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the other Uso as a singles competition kind of guy, or what exactly.
Now's his chance.
Yeah, see if he can take the ball and run with it. I don't know what is going on with the rest of the division though. It's like there's not a lot of depth.
Yeah, we can't just keep seeing Usos versus.
I mean, the Lucha Dragons are up, and that's awesome. Because especially Kalisto, I'm a huge fan of Kalisto. I think that he has a great potential to be like, not to say he's going to be the next Rey Mysterio, but he has like a lot of that like charm and great moveset that Mysterio had. But I don't know. I think that they can utilize more people that, like the primetime players. They split them up. They had one quick feud, and then both of them were off the radar.
Right.
And then they brought them back a few months ago and did nothing with them. They were, a good tag team. Titus O'Neil's our boy. We love Titus O'Neil.
Yeah.
I think that they can give them a chance, put them back in the tag team running, because then you'd have the New Day, who once they turn heel, I think they'll have a lot.
Turn heel, man.
They're starting to tease it now.
Oh really?
Yeah. Xavier Woods on the mic is starting to tease a heel turn, which is perfect.
Nice.
Because once they do that, it's going to be great. Yeah. You'll have the New Day. You'll have.
Because does that mean Tyson and Cesaro were going to face turn?
Not necessarily, but Naomi just had a heel turn on this past Raw. She turned heel on Paige in Europe, which if you're going to turn heel, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Because Paige is going to have the hometown love. So now she's a heel, which is super interesting. And then Fandango turned face. That was kind of just like a quick thing, though.
Yeah.
They need to do something with that character. It's like they revamped it when they put him with Rosa Mendez, and that did nothing. So it's got to be like Fandango 3.0. Just change the name. Have him off TV, for a few months, which basically he already is.
Yeah.
And then just come back with another gimmick. I mean, they did that with Husky Harris, and now he's Bray Wyatt, and he's super over. Like, Johnny Curtis.
What's going on with Bray Wyatt right now?
Well, he had the sprained ankle. So he didn't appear on the Raw after. Now he's going to start to cut promos. He'll be back in time for Extreme Rules. Don't know who his opponent's going to be yet, but it seems like he'll be back in time for that. AJ Lee just retired.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we didn't talk about that last podcast.
I'll let you go on. What do you think about it?
I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it had to have been tough for her to be in the position of litigation between the company she works for and her husband.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough situation to be in.
And they already have someone named Paige who's basically doing her shtick.
Pretty close to it. I mean, I was thinking back about AJ, about, to me, what was like her pinnacle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think her pinnacle was when she was in like the love dispute between Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, and Dolph Ziggler.
Oh, yeah.
Like that whole era when she was like the crazy girlfriend, every one of those guys wanted her. Like, to me, that was like the height of AJ being a badass.
Right.
Her matches were always good, but they could have been better. I think the biggest thing for her was that she didn't have an opponent to really work off of.
Yeah.
Like, if she would have been in a different era.
I was thinking like Paige would have been that opponent.
But they didn't really have that, like, it never really clicked for them.
Yeah.
Which was weird to me because I was hoping for that too. It would have been interesting to see her with Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that would have been a cool dynamic. Because I rewatched the Charlotte and Sasha match from actually the Fatal 4-Way one.
Oh, okay.
But seeing Sasha and Charlotte go at it, like, it just seemed like they were tailor made for each other. Just the way that how tall Charlotte is, and with Sasha's finishing move, like the stretch that she does, it was perfect for her. So I was thinking they could have been something similar with AJ.
Yeah.
You know, I honestly think that CM Punk will never wrestle again. Mm-hmm. I'm not so sure with AJ. Right. I think that there is potential that she might come back. She's still super young, but we'll see. It's a little weird. But retiring is the way for her to get out of the contract. Mm-hmm. It just means that she won't be able to wrestle for anybody, which I don't think she really wants to anyway.
Right.
But coming up, there's going to be Extreme Rules.
Right.
We'll see how that goes. They have... I'm already shaking my head. They have a Kiss My Arse match lined up between Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler.
Oh my god.
It could have been like they brought Sheamus back to be this monster, which is great.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, now you're gonna put this silly gimmick on this match. Who knows? It might be cool, but I'm kind of thinking it might be like that stairs match from TLC.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it could have been a lot better, but we'll see how that is on the 26th.
Yeah.
And then I think the only other matches that have been involved for that is going to be Rusev Cena again, and then the heavyweight title match Orton and Seth.
Well, I guess we'll just have to stay tuned for Extreme Rules.
Yeah, we'll make sure we get a preview for Extreme Rules on the next podcast.
We got to start studying up on our film.
Yep.
Get over this hangover.
I know, it's been so tough. Let us know if any of you guys were at WrestleMania. Send us an email. Let us know about your experience. Leave a comment. It was a great time the whole week. Just starting to get back to normal now. So if you guys, were out here from the East Coast, from Europe, from
all over
LA, who knows, wherever. Just let us know. Get some dialogue going.
If you have any other wrestling documentaries, anything that you think we should check out and have a nice review, let us know. Give us some comments, messages, emails, whatever, however else you can contact us.
Send us some carrier pigeons, y'all. Our pigeons they're lonely. Yeah, I think Mike Tyson's still caring for them. So we got to get to Tyson. So for this episode of the Kayfabe Crusaders,
a very special WrestleMania Hangover.
The Hangover / half-assed episode. This is the Base God.
And your boy J-Dub.
All right, we will catch you on the flippy floppies.
You humans.
People can't live without the urban. If not, they be drinking and driving and swerving. But thanks to Dr.